this meeting to order. It's 10 o'clock. At this time, we would like to ask Kevin Wood from First Baptist Church to lead us in prayer.
Would you join me in praying? Father God, we thank you for this day. We thank you for all that you've given us. Father, we thank you for your blessings on us as individuals, your blessings on this community and even our country, God. Father, we know that you have had your hand in who we are, and Father, we pray that you would help us to follow you and follow in your direction. Father, I pray for these that are making decisions that will affect the lives of the people of Polk County. God, that you would give them wisdom, that you would give them encouragement, that you'd give them strength, Father, as they serve. Father, we love you. We give you thanks for who you are. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Madam Clerk? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Okay, at this time we're going to move to item number 2, which is a public hearing to receive public comment on the proposed subdivision regulations. Notice that this hearing was published in the Polk County Enterprise on October 10th, 2021, and a copy of the proposed subdivision regulations could be viewed on the county website, and also the takings impact assessment may be viewed on the county website. On October 8th, the court discussed and agreed on several changes to the current Polk County subdivision regulation. Those changes were incorporated and proposed regulations were posted to the Polk County website on October 10th. Jen Morris, who is our engineer with GLS, made further changes primarily to the RV and tiny home park infrastructure requirements per the discussion that was held in this court. And those changes were posted to the county homepage and emailed to the court on November 3rd. So a copy of the pages with marked changes is included for your review in your packet. And the changes pertain to right-of-ways and setback requirements and certification of water resources and water sources in infrastructure development plan. Do we have anyone from the public that wishes to comment for the public hearing on the subdivision regulations? Yes, sir. Come on up, Alan. For the record, he's been involved in all the discussions over subdivision regulations.
The only question I have is on the rights of way, the building setbacks from county roads. What do we do when there is no defined right of way width? We're gonna split it, go 30 feet out of the center? Is that what we're gonna try to do?
So.
And those would be taken on an individual basis?
Prescriptive easement gives us the right to the top of the back slope.
Yeah.
To maintain a ditch.
A lot of time that's going to be determined by that prescriptive easement from back slope to back slope.
Top of back slope, yeah.
Yeah, because it'll vary in places.
It sure will, especially if it's 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 feet through a track.
I would say 30
Talking about
foot
an
from the
existing-
center road from further expansion or development.
Yeah.
They give you a 60-foot right of way.
That's what I need to know.
Yeah, that's.
So, I mean, it would be nice to have that spelled out in there, that barring any described right-of-way width through a parcel of land, that would be the customary practice, would be to split the paving and go back 30 feet from the center of the road as it averages through the track.
People call my office and they're wanting to build a fence, and I try to explain that to them. Well, I own all the way up to the road, or I own the road. Well, yeah, you do, but it's a public road, and if there's ever developed or widened or anything to our current 60 foot, you need to have your fence 30 foot from the center line of the road.
Plus, they're
Absolutely.
just everyday maintenance.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It makes it a lot easier, because I've got some that's less than 20 foot wide.
Yeah.
Sure you do.
And they're hard to maintain.
Sure they are.
Okay, so you all want to make sure or add that the customary practice will be the 60-foot right-of-way?
Well, it's 30 foot from the center.
As it exists at that
As
time
it
anyway.
exists. Existing road, yeah.
60-foot right-of-way, right?
Right.
Yeah.
and then probably 10 on the other side of that for your utility easements. And then that's where your 50-foot setback would start,
Okay.
from that 30-foot right-of-way line.
Yeah.
Is that what I'm to understand? That was the.
Center line of the road,
Well, you don't wanna go 50 from the center line of the road, that would only put you,
yeah.
that's not gonna put you from the right-of-way width, and that's specifically what it says, is from the rights-of-way.
We go 30 feet. from
So
the
we go
center.
30 foot down and put them
80
50
feet, it
foot,
should-
80 foot from
well,
the
it
center
should
of the
go
road.
theoretically 80 feet from the center of the
Yeah.
road.
Okay.
That's all, that's the only thing that I saw, that was,
Okay,
I mean,
so-
there's a little
80 foot
ambiguity in
on our
it.
setbacks, 80 foot from center line of the road.
For a building or something.
For a building.
Okay,
And I don't know
so,
anybody wanna be any closer anyhow.
so do you
Be
wanna
surprised.
do you wanna put the 60-foot right of way for, as a customary practice, and then do you want to add the setback information as well?
Well, I mean, your setback information's
It's already-
right, it's just making
it's
sure
already
that
in
the
there.
definition of
Okay.
the right of way
Yeah,
is,
we just
Okay.
gotta describe it right away.
Okay,
Yeah.
because there's a
describe the
number of
setback.
roads in this county that have no defined right of way width.
yeah.
We may be fixing to find out a little bit more about county roads as things go.
That's what-
But right now, the road's just there, and most of the properties will go to the center of them, or,
But
Or go across them, I mean, I
I
don't.
mean,
Yeah, they're all over the place.
I think that'd have to be checked out because it's by prescriptive easement right now.
yeah.
If
But
you're
are those
doing one-
prescriptive easements defined in width?
No.
It
No.
is, yeah, from back slope to back slope.
And that can
I
be,
rest my
that can
case.
be anything.
That's what I'm saying, I don't know if we can legally do it that way.
Why could you not?
Well, if the road's only 14, 15 foot wide, and they go in there and split it up, and you say, no, you gotta start from center road, go over here 30 feet, and then your building setback's over here. And they're going, the argument is, well, what are we gonna do with this other 15 feet that's not being utilized right here?
Same thing you do with any other road
Yeah.
around here that's
Yeah,
not
make
used.
yard out of it. Well, I mean,
I'm just saying, we can't,
now, we're not going in changing people's stuff that they already own,
No,
but if
we're
anybody wants to
talking
build
about
a new
future
subdivision,
development.
Grandfather.
then they're gonna.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
grandfathered.
but if someone comes in right now on one of our prescriptive easement roads and wants to bust it up into 10-acre blocks, we don't have no authority on that? Or are you saying we do right now? On the
What I'm
setback,
what I'm
that would
saying
be
is,
our
if you're
subdivision
gonna
rules and
define a 50-foot
regulations.
building setback from the road right of way, and there is no road right of
Yeah.
way, that's what I'm talking
But
about.
I'm just
Yeah.
saying, you know, they're paying taxes all the way across that road, and it's not being utilized now. That 15 foot that I'm talking about is not being utilized. So, right now, prescriptive easements from back slope to back slope.
Okay,
Okay,
And
but
that
for
varies.
future development, do you wanna do the 60-foot right of way?
That's fine with me, but I'm just saying, are we gonna run into problems?
We're gonna run into
Yeah,
problems no
we-
matter what, you're always gonna have
Every time we do
someone,
something on these
yeah.
roads right away, we run
Yeah, I
into
mean,
problems.
that's fine with me.
That's a given.
I'm just devil's advocate, I guess,
ditto.
'cause
You have turned into the devil's advocate.
well, I'm just saying, we deal with them every day too.
How
They
much
come
property
into
you
your
got to go to the
office and-
center line of the road that we don't know about?
Huh?
How much property you got to go to the center line of the road somewhere we don't know about?
There's a lot of it in my precinct.
That's what I'm saying.
Anyway, that's.
Thank you,
that's all.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Mr. Bessiere, I noticed that you signed up for public comment. Would you like to comment at this time?
Whatever's convenient for you.
This is a public hearing, and
Yes.
so at this time, we can exchange information with you.
Okay,
If you wait till public comment, then we can only listen.
okay,
So if you would like to approach, that would be great.
okay,
Judge,
good.
you can carry to shut that fine right there, there's a vehicle parked there, it's blind.
There she goes.
All right,
Thank you.
And she can
thank
hear
you for
pretty
letting
good.
me address the court.
So we don't do anything else.
My name is Steve Bessiere. My wife, Retta, and I are planning a RV park on our property directly across from the Lake Livingston State Park. And I just had a couple of questions concerning the road service and the sites, parking sites for the RVs. Under section 4, number 6, it says each park shall provide recreational vehicle spaces and to be clearly defined. And then on part A, it says to be improved with compacted crushed road base material and asphalt or concrete adequate to support the weight of the recreational vehicle. So then for the spaces that where they are, for the sites where they park, it has to be either concrete or asphalt.
think that's one of the changes that we made, wasn't it?
That's what I may not have the latest, since you just said that there were some
Yes.
changes made.
Yes, sir, there were some changes made.
We're gonna be voting on
And
some
we're
of that
gonna
stuff
be
today.
voting on that shortly, and I believe the change was that it could be the crushed stone.
Crushed
That's
stone.
for the roads.
For the
For
roads.
the road.
Roads, the pads.
Yeah, that was the other
we
thing I was
changed
gonna
the
address, was the
pads.
roads also, but the pads and the roads, we wanna know what exactly we're,
I don't believe we changed the pads, I believe we changed the roads.
okay. So the pads, they have to be either concrete or asphalt?
That was my understanding, as I
Pads
recall.
do, but we'll
We've made
change
some
them.
changes, but as I recall, that was the last version.
Okay, I would like to, request that that be changed where we could, it would be the same as the roads, to where you could have the same conditions on the roads and the pads.
We did have that, we had it where it had to all be asphalted or concreted, and then we changed it to where the roads did not have to be.
Okay, so I guess if
But
the
the
roads.
pads will have to remain as a completely stable surface.
Okay, so the
Yes, sir.
the pads have to be concrete or asphalt.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so and what was the change on the roads?
The roads can now be rock, crushed stone.
Crushed stone?
Yes, sir.
Does that include, or does that include like reclaimed asphalt or pea gravel or limestone chips? Or just crushed stone, you're talking about
These
just
guys will
road
have to
base?
answer that.
There's a provision in the rules and regulations that state how it has to be constructed to a certain standard. We just simply, as far as the base go, we just simply took the asphalt or the chip seal off of it.
Okay,
So you still have to compact it and make sure.
yeah, it still has to be road base, but the topping on top of the road base can be whatever you want?
It can be road base, or I'm assuming it can be, pea gravel, or it could be,
It could be, limestone.
Crushed
Yeah,
chips,
the
or
limestone chip rock, like you're talking about, to
Right.
smooth it up.
Right,
Yeah.
or cut down dust
Yeah,
or something.
right, okay.
Yeah.
It just had to be the county standards, correct?
The base has to be the
The
county.
base has
to be-
What
has
you
to
put
be-
on it after that, you can still asphalt it or chip seal it,
Okay,
or you can do the reclaimed asphalt or the.
but all that's actually required is a road base,
Right.
Yes.
That is correct.
okay.
So can I encourage you, Mr. Bustier, to visit with Commissioner Robertson in case you have any specific questions,
Sure,
since that's in her precinct?
Robertson,
My office is
Winland,
in Guilin.
Guilan, okay,
My office is in Goodrich.
okay.
And that number, you need the number?
Yes,
365-2222.
and that's 936,
Yeah, that's still in the 936 area.
okay. Richards, Robertson. Okay. We're working with Lynn Fairbanks, and to get everything done. He was gonna be here today to discuss this, but his wife's having surgery, so he has me
Okay.
doing
Well,
it.
just give the office a call and we'll get together.
Okay, sounds good, thank
Thank
you very
you.
much.
Thank you.
Do we have anyone else that wishes to comment in the public hearing for subdivision regulations? Okay, very well. If there not being no further comments, what time is it, Madam Clerk?
10:14.
We'll close that hearing. And move on with item number 3 on the agenda. Consider any and all necessary action regarding subdivision regulation. And all of y'all have received your copies, and consider the revisions to the items, which would be the 60-foot right-of-way within customary practice, to be the customary practice. And
What we
otherwise-
just talked about.
Yes, the one we just talked about with
Ally.
Ally.
Okay.
So,
So we downsize the right of way and all in the tiny home parks and all that?
yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes,
Maybe,
so
yeah,
you
I've
have
seen
all the
that.
changes that we've discussed.
Yeah, we did, I seen,
I'll
I
took out the ditches.
Okay,
Yeah, the ditches and
so what I need is a motion to approve it as they stand, with the exception of adding the 60-foot right-of-way as being a customary practice. You'll still be able to grant variances if it should become essential or necessary. So moved.
I'll second.
Commissioner Vincent, Commissioner Robertson, any further discussion or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, now we're going into our second public hearing. Item number 4, public hearing to receive public comment on the countywide polling place program, which is Shalana's program. This is our use of countywide election precinct polling places for subsequent elections. We're asking for a successful status with Secretary of State. And basically what Shalana's office and the county are trying to do is increase convenience for all voters, which will allow voters to vote in any polling box. It also decreases confusion over where to go vote, and because they can go anywhere in the county. Madam Clerk, you want to comment?
No, I think it was very successful, and people seem to like the convenience of voting at any location, and it allowed me and my staff to, provide any assistance quicker with having a reduced number of locations, and obviously reduced expenses.
Very well. Does anybody have a comment on countywide polling place program, which we already utilized?
I have a question. How many during the general election and whatnot, will all the boxes be open?
No, we can use the same amount that, after a successful election, this time we can reduce down to 50% or keep the 12 that we used this last time.
We had 12 primary boxes last time.
Yeah.
Well, like the general election, we won't have 22 boxes running like we have before.
We don't have to,
Okay.
unless we don't continue, unless we're not allowed to continue with the program, then we won't.
Yeah.
In essence, it reduces it because people don't have to rush to get from one place to another to get to their voting box. And so it reduces the time constraints that occur at the clerk's office.
And majority of the times that you have, somebody have to vote provisional is because they go to the wrong location on election day.
Gets pretty confusing sometimes for some of them.
Yeah, when the husband votes in one box and the wife votes in another box, they live in the same house.
It gets very confusing.
Yeah.
And I guess we found out what the census thinks about that. Now I understand where some of the confusion comes from. When the federal government decides you're over here instead of over there. Okay, Madam Clerk, what time is it?
10:18.
Okay, we'll close that hearing. Item number 5, consider any and all necessary action regarding the county's continued participation in the countywide polling place program. A resolution was included for your review and support of the county clerk's application to receive a successful status, which will come from the Secretary of State and will allow us to continue to participate in the countywide polling.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Curtis, second Commissioner Overstreet. Any further discussion or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 6, public comments. Do we have anyone else that signed up?
No, ma'am.
Okay, we will continue from there. Item number 7, informational reports. Because we had all these hearings and our delinquent tax collection, we're down to one man today. We agreed to do their report for him real quick, so you should have a report in front of you. Does everybody have their report? And so I'm just gonna go through some of the important information for the record. They implemented a mailing program to ensure that delinquent taxpayers were aware that they owed taxes to Polk County ahead of time. And they sent out this previous year 15,704 warning notice letters. Went out from October 1st, 2020 through September 30th of 2021. At this time, they have lawsuits to collect property taxes, delinquent property taxes, on 511 accounts, and those suits represent $365,494 in delinquent property taxes that are due to Polk County. They dismissed, which means that they came to an agreement or got the individuals to pay what they owed on 205 lawsuits that involved $1,053,632 in taxes, penalty, and interest. The tax sales results, they had 285 tracts of real property that went to a tax sale, 35 were collection payments totaling 136,766. 5 of those were pulled, and 199 of them sold for a total of $1,312,052 for the taxing entities that had money coming to them. So then you also have the statistics on their collection rates. Their collection rate right now is at 85.47. Okay, now for a fun report. Presentation of plaque from Pineywood Lakes, Texas Master Naturalist to Polk County Agrilife Extension Agent Matthew March for the 2021 Advisor of the Year Award. I also send this information to all of you all. I don't think you can really completely comprehend what this means for Matt, because he won across the state of Texas. So he beat Galveston County, that has a very big Master Naturalist program. So we're really, really proud. We're really happy for you, Matt, because it certainly looks nice on your resume. That's for sure. So at this time, if the Texas Master Naturalist would like to come up and present him with his plaque, that would be great.
Okay, we don't want his resume to look good.
That doesn't mean we're not gonna try to keep it.
Just to add to that, there are 48 chapters of Master Naturalists in the state of Texas. And at the state convention, I guess it was 2 weeks ago now, they determined that of all of the advisors of the 48 chapters, that Matt was the best. And we, of course, agree with that. Are you gonna read the criteria or?
Well, I'll read the criteria. Okay, the criteria was overall exceptional work of chapter advisors, exemplary contributions to the organization's missions and goals, new initiatives and accomplishments supported by the advisor participation in the chapter, the advisor's ability to empower members, and resource management knowledge and activities. The activities that have been going on down by the dam, if you all will recall, you had an agreement with ETC that some of that property would be turned into a nature park or preserve. And so if you have not got an opportunity, you need to go down there and check it out. And Matt has been a huge part of that. Matt also was instrumental in assisting in terms of getting trees out to people that were impacted by the tornado. They are going to do a controlled burn down below the dam for educational purposes and allow the public to come view and participate and receive educational opportunities. And so I really can't, you could just go on and on and on of all the things that Matt has done to assist the Master Naturalists. So I will let them continue because those are the big obvious ones.
Yeah, and Matt also helped us get through the pandemic. He was instrumental in a lot of the things, field trips. He's just been fantastic.
Good.
So here is the award, the plaque.
Could we get the lady behind you to go around, because I can't
There you
really
go.
see
So
her.
there's in the photo.
I'm sure.
Okay.
So face, got it. Miss Emily?
Let's do another one. 1, 2, 3. Great, thank you.
Okay, Matt, if we could, and all of you all, could we take a picture with the court since
Absolutely.
obviously the court has supported the program? Come up here, Matt.
I didn't even know they were submitting this application, so I was completely in the
That
dark
makes
for
it
all this.
even better. That makes it even better. There you go. We're probably gonna, let's get a couple of y'all to go.
A little lopsided.
Well,
sit out.
We get you to stand on there. There we go. Shine your light.
Okay, perfect.
Come on, Bill.
Come on, Milt. Okay. Matt,
Thank y'all.
congratulations.
Yeah, man.
Congratulations, Matt.
Good job.
Get him later.
I will.
It's yours, Judge, we didn't switch.
I was gonna say, don't y'all give me that chair that falls to
We
the
didn't
ground.
loosen up the little hydraulic thing in here.
Sure. Okay, do we have any other announcements from elected officials or department heads?
I have one. Our office Friday will be closed. We're gonna burn some time. Everybody's got enough stuff, and Thursday being a holiday, so we're gonna
Comp time.
comp time on Friday, so we won't be there. So
I don't know if I need to give this report. Oh, go ahead, Tom.
Except back at 1 o'clock.
Sounds good?
I probably need to do this now, instead of,
Sure, go ahead.
because, on the Throckmorton School end, I called, and got us a surveyor, and got a quote from him to survey the disputed part, you know, not the whole property. I don't know what that would entail, but right now, we're just trying to,
Part on the river?
the
Yes.
part on the river, you know,
Yes.
this disputed part with the Portwood family. And I've talked to Miss McAdams, and she said she would talk to her uncles and aunts and her dad and see if they would entertain the thought of sharing the cost with us. She said that's a possibility, and I told her, well, I gotta do the same thing, 'cause I can't tell you we would until the court decides, so.
That's just to determine what's usable and what's not.
Well, no, that's to determine whether the Brazos River took part of our land or not my land, the school land, part of the school land, or took part of their land, and they're saying that we owe them, that we owe them some property.
So,
So the only way to solve it is to survey it, and we have a guy that's supposedly is a sure enough river surveyor. You know, I mean, he understands the motions and movements of rivers, and he's schooled in all of this, and he actually helped with the Red River controversy a few years ago up there with the state and the landowners and the BLM and all. He was part of that, so.
so we will place that on a future agenda.
Yeah, when I find out whether, you know, what their answer is and
Yeah.
everything.
So, if you will recall, we asked Commissioner Purvis and Commissioner Robertson to kind of handle that. So we will put it on a future agenda for discussion after we get us.
We've had several meetings.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I've talked to a landman also that will help us with the research on the deals.
Properties.
Looks like y'all just done a fantastic job.
Absolutely, appreciate y'all jumping in.
I don't know.
Got more paperwork than I've ever got off that place in 18 years. Maps,
All kinds of stuff.
bills.
Okay, anybody else? Okay, item number 8, new business, this is the consent agenda. We have addendums on B, addendum number 1 in the amount of $34,250.32. Addendum number 2 in the amount of $1,239.66. Addendum number 3 in the amount of $140,456.78. And also, we need to delete G, which was approve advertising for bids for sheriff's office repair of flood damages to be partially paid by insurance settlement and remainder from general fund balance to be included on the FY 2022 reimbursement resolution for year-end issuance of legally authorized debt. That had already been approved, but they found further damages, and so at this time, we would like to delete.
Supposed to delete.
Is there anything other than that that you all wish to pull off of the consent agenda?
motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion to approve Commissioner Overstreet, second Commissioner Vincent, including the deletion of item G.
Yes.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 9, consider approval of personnel matters as follows. A, review and consideration of personnel action form requests submitted since the last meeting, a review of any authorized emergency hiring. All of the PAFs were included in your packet for your review. At this time, we have 1 emergency hire at the jail, and then 6 emergency promotions, and that's from the clerk, the jail, and the sheriff's office. Could I have a motion to approve Commissioner Overstreet?
I'll second.
Commissioner Robertson, any further discussion or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item B, consider request from county treasurer to temporarily add 1 full-time position. And that full-time position would be from December 6th through the 31st. Because Ms. Terry is retiring, and this will give the treasurer's office an opportunity to train the new person. And it's, there's also an attached budget revision that's included on the agenda that will provide the sufficient funds to accommodate this request. Terry, do you want to add anything to that?
Well, it's not me that's retired, although I wish it was.
Well, Miss Terry, not our treasurer, not
Miss
Madam
Terry
Treasurer.
Mikan, she's retiring at the end of December, and so to have time to properly train someone for that position, would like to have someone come on board sometime in December, depending on the, how the funds work out, so that we can have time to train them, the new person.
Sounds good.
Do
Thank
you
you.
already have someone?
No,
No.
we have to get approval first before we can post that position.
That'll get posted immediately.
Okay, so moved.
Second.
Commissioner
Thank you.
Purvis, Commissioner Overstreet, any further discussion or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Could you make it someone not named Terry? So we put that on the job criteria?
Just trying to get ahead of the game.
Item number 10, consider request for revisions and amendments to the budget as follows. A, the FY 2022 budget revisions and amendments as presented by the county auditor's office. Again, a copy of those revisions number 2022-3 and amendments 2022-3A is included for your review, and everything's in your packet.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Purvis, second Commissioner Vincent. Any further discussion or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 11, discuss and consider any and all necessary action regarding expenditures from maintenance capital outlay buildings which were budgeted funds for a bullet-resistant window at the sheriff's office. This project was included in the list of projects to be funded in the FY 2022 budget with these funds, and a copy of the proposal is included for your review. The total amount needed is $3,975.
I'll make the motion.
Commissioner
I got a
Robertson?
question. Have they come up with one for the JP?
That's done.
Gordon?
That's done. Yes, that's
Okay.
done. Okay, can I have a second?
Second.
Commissioner Purvis, any further discussion or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 12, canvass the November 2nd, 2021 election results. So the canvass on the amendment election is required no earlier than Friday, November 25th, and no later than Monday, November 15th, per Texas Election Code Section 67.005. Shalana, I believe this is yours.
Put in front of you all a cumulative report and a precinct by precinct. So we had 2,477 people vote out of 40,819 registered voters.
Wasn't many people too worried about the
Amendments.
No.
Okay, can I have a motion
So
to
moved.
accept?
Second.
Commissioner Vincent, second Commissioner Overstreet. Any further discussion or questions? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. You know what? I just realized, Master Naturalist, if you all wish to exit the building, feel free. I should have told you that after we took the photo. Otherwise, you are more than welcome to join us.
Thank you very much.
But if you would like to.
We appreciate that. We'll
To
continue our
go, then
celebration.
that's fine.
Or is he already
All the hearing people have left because they're more experienced than the rest of you.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much, we appreciate
Yeah,
it.
you can tell them they can leave.
Oh, I should have told them that immediately
Yeah,
afterwards, I
Matt
just
left, Matt
didn't.
left, didn't
Yeah,
he?
you can
I
let them.
looked up and there they were.
He left his people.
Okay. Item number
That's how it
13.
worked.
Yeah, they knew. Cast ballot for election of Polk Central Appraisal District Board of Directors for the 2022-2023 term. All of the correspondence from the Polk County Central Appraisal District was included in your packet for your review. And we included a copy of the last ballot, which was submitted by the court in November of 2019. So at this time, Polk County has 1,743 votes available to us. And in years past, what we've done is we've cast our votes for Leslie Burks, and which would leave us this year with 909 votes to distribute among the other 4 nominees. So the recommendation that we have is, at this time, we would go ahead and cast our 834 votes to Leslie. And then following the pattern that we've done in the past, Mr. Curran from Alaska ISD receives 270, and then we would give him, oh, hold on, I got that backwards. He receives 564 from Alaska ISD, and then we would give him 270 to complete the 834. And then Paul David Evans, we're talking about Fat Man, not his daddy, receives 385 votes from Corrigan ISD, and then we would add 449 to give him his 834. And the rest of them get pieced together with Leggett, with other smaller entities.
So moved.
So our votes
Second.
cast would go, and then 80 for Mike Reynolds, and then 80 for Pam Pierce.
I'll second. Or did somebody already second it?
I made
We have a motion
I
over
second.
here, Commissioner Overstreet. Did
Milt.
Milt. Purvis, okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
How many was that for Fat Man?
449.
Thank you.
You can have a copy of this afterwards if you wanted, Emily. Okay. Okay, item number 14, consider approval of application for Two Creeks Crossing Resort RV Park located in precinct 2. Goodwin Lassiter Strong, as our Polk County engineer, reviewed the infrastructure development plan for Two Creeks Crossing for compliance. And the plan includes several variances which meet the approval of GLS and Commissioner Vincent. So at this time, the changes that we made on our regulations impact some of those variances and actually eliminate them.
All except for one.
All except for one. So we're left with one variance requirement that is not eliminated. And once they get all the information, the documentation in, then for now, Commissioner Vincent.
When I talked with Jed earlier, he said that they had got the documentation and the letters in.
Perfect.
Is what he told me. There were 6 variances requested, 5 of which were taken care of in how we voted earlier. There's one variance that they're asking for, section 10.14 requires 20% of the RV parking spaces to be not less than 18 by 50. The development proposes 19% of the RV parking spaces to be not less than 18 by 50. It's just the way it works out along the creek there. So asking the court if they would grant that variance.
And so that comes as a recommendation.
Yes, ma'am.
Want to make it a motion?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Vincent, second Commissioner Overstreet. Any further discussion or questions?
So on these parks like that, what we're running into, and I visited with Jed had called me about this too. on these parks, you know, with the way they're utilizing the land, some of those measurements and whatnot are not.
Well,
We have to just look at it.
project being right down on Kickapoo and Rocky Creek, due to the way it can get mad, flood sometimes, they're having to move some stuff around a little bit. And they got it all but within, like I said, 1%.
Yeah.
Of what.
Well, we know, and that's why the variances are in there, is to allow for those types of considerations. Okay, anyone else? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 15, consider approval to amend contract 20-065-018-C064 with the Texas General Land Office for a 1-year extension and determine the method of funding the additional cost for grant administrator and engineer beyond what GLO cap will allow. This contract was for the road improvements on Taylor Lake Road and River Road in Precinct 1. It was approved on 11/7/2019 and was authorized by the court in April of that year. So at this time, a 1-year extension is needed in order to use the monies. If you will recall, this was the grant where the amount, the expenditure came in below the grant amount. So in order to use the $365,705.50 that is still available, GLO has agreed to a 1-year extension, but has not agreed to increase the amount that can be spent towards grant administration and engineering services. And so, which would have otherwise been taken from the total grant. So the estimate for the new construction is $301,205.50. And GLS at this time has agreed to maintain or not request for additional funding. So at this time is in order to maintain or keep the remaining funds, the court will need to approve the extension. You're gonna have to do that. And then determine the appropriate method of funding, which would be $153.85 for further engineering and $9,980.72 for further grant administration services. Okay, so it falls under Commissioner Robertson, so you want to discuss it with the court?
Yes, I'd like to ask, if you remember, we did the disaster recovery line item, and I'd like to request that we tap into that, utilize that to supplement so that we can go forth with this project, because it's Taylor Lake and Holiday Lakes, it really needed, so.
And it was an original mitigation project
Yes.
that was done.
I'd second that.
Okay, so you're bringing that as a motion?
Yes.
Robertson, Commissioner Vincent, any further discussion or questions? No? Very well, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 16, discuss and consider any and all necessary action to begin the procurement process for the use of funds allocated to Polk County by the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021, ARPA. This would be for the unincorporated areas only of Polk County. As we have discussed before, the broadband is basically one of the very large emphasis that ARPA has, and it's also followed by water and sewer infrastructure. And so basically what we would like for the court to decide is, do you want to stay with those two main, have the focus of the ARPA funds be those two main areas? If so, then we need to, before we can solidify projects, we need to be able to move forward with procurement. We have, at this time, we have a water committee that has been meeting, and we have received information from all of them. Jessica has received information from all of our utility districts. We also have a working broadband and internet committee, so we are one step ahead of everybody because we did already have that committee, and it's been a working committee for 2 or 3 years now. So we got slowed down a little bit by COVID. So really, when ARPA came out that committee went, woo-hoo, we want it all. But, so Jessica is here. Jessica, you wanna come up here and give them any further information?
Are there any questions before I just kind of give a rundown? This isn't asking you to commit funds or any certain percentages to either of these projects. It's just asking you to consider funding these, and I need to start procurement for that. If we want to get the ball rolling further and do any more research to move forward, we need professional opinions from an administrator and engineer, especially for the water surveys, to get with the water companies and see what kind of work really needs to be done.
And we've already gathered some information. We already kind of have an idea on who needs different things. And so Jessica first did a survey where she kind of asked all our water districts, what do you need? And we got everything from, we need, new pipes to, we need to paint the building. And so we felt like that maybe we needed to go ahead and appoint someone that would take a look at it and go ahead and move forward with procurement, so we have a better idea of the exact cost for each of these projects. We know that broadband and internet could suck up our entire budget if we let it, but we need some guidance from the court on whether or not those are the two areas you wish to proceed in terms of the ARPA funds, which is slightly less than 10 million.
I think our water, with our growth around here, our water is vitally important. We can't drink the internet.
Well, you're not gonna.
And I understand that all you hear is broadband, 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 and a lot, I don't understand how, like right now, East Texas laying fiber everywhere. I mean, all over their service area, they're doing the
Over their service.
Over their service.
Their service area, though, they're doing it, and other companies are doing it also. Livingston's doing it. So, but I don't know about.
We have a huge black hole.
I know up on the north end, who is that up there? Southwestern?
AT&T. Welcome to AT&T.
So, but I know that, but a big portion of the county's being taken care of on that broadband.
No, sir.
Tommy, certainly, and I agree with you on the water, but when I look at it from children's standpoint and
Oh,
school, we do need broadband. We need.
I know we need broadband, but we talk about broadband in Detcon.
Okay, so,
And then,
but that's, they didn't get any of those grants.
And then, but, like I say, my deal is, and I understand we gotta have it because our schools and all that, but, we've also got to have, these rural water systems have not charged a fee, enough fee to maintain their systems over the years, and they're all having to raise their rates now, but that still doesn't help them with their infrastructure because it's gonna be quite a bit of money.
Right,
Yes,
which is
sir.
why we're
And-
considering.
I'm just saying the water's vitally important to us
When
here.
will these projects be identified?
And that's what we're trying to get y'all.
Yeah.
That's why,
Okay, all
our-
we need right now is for you to tell us what you want us to focus on. Can we focus on water systems and broadband? Can we focus, or interconnectivity, let me rephrase that.
Yeah.
Okay, so can we focus on those two? Because with broadband and interconnectivity, we also have a black hole in the north end of the county because there's no tower for law enforcement communications as well. See, so what we want to know is, do you want to go beyond those two subjects? Do you want us to go to look for anything else that you would want to consider for ARPA funds? I can tell you this.
Can we put it on county roads?
No.
Go ahead.
No, sir, you can't do that. It has to tie back to
I
public.
knew that, but I was just gonna try.
He's just stirring
Now
it
you're
up.
saying-
Sorry, I mean, it's
before it
a
was all-
natural instinct, I blurted it out.
Okay, so.
Before it was all broadband, now it's connectivity is a whole broader area. So,
Okay, in the
It's a lot
ARPA,
broader area.
okay, in the ARPA information, it says broadband every third word.
Yeah.
We, Polk County, has looked at considering it as interconnectivity because there are some areas that have absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
They don't have broadband and they don't have fiber and they don't have even radio communications. So we're the ones that broadened it and said interconnectivity. But the ARPA says broadband. So just so we're clear, I don't want
Yeah.
y'all to get a, so what we need to know is, do you want us to move forward within those two particular areas? And then we can decide, or we can assign committees to prioritize and look at individual projects. Right now, we need to know if you want us to move forward with those two specific areas.
So you need a motion.
I need a motion that you,
That's the only two areas really
those are the only two areas that we as a group have considered absolutely vital for us.
What can it be used for?
Broadband or broadband or broadband?
Public health, broadband, water, interconnectivity. Public health is those three, water infrastructure, water sewer infrastructure, broadband, and public health. And public health, can be an array of things, but it's more, mitigating COVID and helping the public agencies, and that includes law enforcement and interconnectivity, which ties back to broadband.
So broadband and
More connectivity.
But at this time, we just wanna be able to move forward with procurement. If,
We got a
if
motion.
at any time you want to
Yeah,
look at other projects, you absolutely can.
Okay, I do wanna make it very clear that this is for only the unincorporated areas. Okay?
that's where we
Yeah.
need it.
Yes.
That's what you said.
Okay, Commissioner Robertson?
Second, or Ronnie, doesn't matter.
Mr. Vincent?
So the next step would be what?
The next step will be that, first of all, we need to appoint, I'm gonna consider that as the motion on A, okay? Consider primary projects to fund. Okay, so all in favor of A? Aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Now, B is to issue a request for proposals and qualifications for grant administrator and engineer. So that will be our next step, is that we need to go out for proposals, for qualifications for someone to be the engineer that can also evaluate these projects, right? And for grant administrator.
so move.
Second.
Okay, Commissioner Purvis, Commissioner Overstreet, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, the next thing is we need to consider the appointment of a scoring committee for the purpose of reviewing and rating those proposals and qualifications. For the engineer and the grant administrator. I already put Jessica down, I'm assuming y'all are gonna put
Yeah.
Jessica on there.
Jessica needs to be.
So, okay, Guyleen, comes as a motion. Is there someone else y'all would like to put on that committee?
Who else do we need on that committee? Law enforcement?
No, because that's just, that's scoring the grant administrator and the, engineer.
Somebody from the county clerk's office? Just trying to broaden out besides always being one of us
Yeah,
four right here. There's other departments in this county, ain't
that's
there?
true, that is true, Shalane,
That's what I'm saying.
county clerks.
You know what, would you like to put, permits?
Sure.
Put Holly on there, I mean,
Yeah.
she doesn't have any experience,
Yeah.
and that would be a good learning opportunity for her, and that's our water,
Yep,
okay?
That's a good idea.
keep her in the loop.
Yes, so.
I make a motion to close nominations.
Nominations are now closed. Comes from
Make a
Commissioner
decision.
I'll
Overstreet.
second.
Commissioner Robertson, any further discussion or questions?
So they will score just the
Engineer and
Grant-
the,
Grant
yes,
administrator.
and the grant administrator, and bring a recommendation to the court. And then what we can do is then we will decide how to move forward in terms of the projects. Because we already have a working broadband internet committee, that has been evaluating it, researching, been very engaged.
So they need a water and sewer committee.
And so what we'll do, and actually, we already kind of had a discussion on that. We already have a water committee that was Holly, Gary Ashmore with the underwater groundwater district, and Jessica. And then the rest of us Carrie. So we already have a water committee that we
So will
can,
we get to participate in which projects get?
don't worry, you're gonna get way more participation than you ever wanted.
This is gonna be in 2030?
No, we have to extend it, no. That's part of why we're
We got
moving
2 years?
quickly.
2
Yes,
years?
sir, yes,
2
sir.
years, yeah.
See, so the money has to be committed by 2024, is that correct, Jessica? The money has to be committed by 2024. So we don't have time to haggle and dilly-dally. Now, back to 30 years, we do, keep in mind that we do have mitigation monies coming for Harvey, but that's being held up right now by GLO that hadn't gotten a contract to DEDCOG and all that kind of stuff. So we will accept that when we receive it, but for now, we've got to get these
Yeah.
forward, so. Okay, I think that's it for item number 16. Okay, item number 17, discuss and consider any and all necessary action to authorize Texas term sheet and Texas statewide opioid settlement agreements relating to claims arising from the opioid litigation and adoption of approving resolution and order. So at this time, we're gonna go into a closed executive session pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.071 for consultation with attorney. And so we will ask everybody to exit with the exception of Carrie. Thank you, everybody.
Will we be coming back in and finish this one?
Yes.
Okay.
After a closed session, we will come back in.
Can I say one thing real quick?
Yes, ma'am.
I did get some phone calls, text messages last night from James White. He was asking about helping get more money for Taylor Lakes. I explained the biggest help he could give to y'all would to be get the allocation distributed, and a waiver for the LMI would be very helpful for y'all. So that's kind of the direction I pushed him in.
Sounds good.
Okay, just
Thank
wanted you
you.
to know, yes ma'am, thank you all.
Yes,
Thanks,
ma'am.
Leslie.
Thank you.
Y'all didn't get comfortable, did you?
I hope you didn't get comfortable, because
There's not any chairs out
the
there.
attorney no-showed, so.
Yeah, we need some benches outside.
Okay, basically what it boils down to, the summary, and we, Carrie and I both questioned why Herb felt the need to even make it an executive session, but he said he had some information he wanted to discuss. What it amounts to is that we joined the opioid settlement agreement so that our indigent healthcare, our taxpayers would not be impacted by any occurrence in terms of opioid settlements or occurrences in the county or claims. So we joined the opioid litigation through Herb Bristow. Since then, the Attorney General for the state of Texas has moved forward and has moved into the opioid litigation realm for the state. And so we will now continue, but we will be assumed under the umbrella of the state of Texas. I don't know all the convoluted discussions of how that occurred in the same manner that Herb does, but mostly he wanted to make sure that the court was aware that we were still covered, but that now he did not want the court to hear the announcements from the Attorney General of the state of Texas saying that he had assumed responsibility and was now representing all the counties in the state of Texas. But we will still, don't worry, we still got our better deal in. They cannot take that away from us. But basically the Attorney General has assumed responsibility. And those settlements are occurring, and we will be receiving our funding. And it will not be in the same manner that the alcohol abuse and the tobacco settlements have occurred. The funding will come directly to us, not get filtered through the state or through anybody else first.
So
And
you
you all
have
know-
all these people working on it, and all of a sudden the state takes it over.
Of course. Of course. That's okay.
After all research has been done, then we'll take the case.
Something like that. Well, if you will recall, right after we agreed, not long after we agreed, to going with her, there was some discussion.
Yep.
Now, they never committed, but there was some discussion that the state would represent everybody. But we had already signed on with Herb Bristow, which gave us more control of the litigation and of our monies. You know, then it was not, if it had been a state, if the state had represented us, then obviously the state would receive the monies and then disperse it to us. And so we would rather be in control of our own fate in terms of.
Attached fees.
Correct.
We're just getting the money out of the state sometimes.
Yes, exactly. So that could become a challenge. So, I'm assuming really the only action would be to authorize, her to continue moving forward, and with the term sheet with the state of Texas that will still protect us.
After the resolution.
Yes. Do you have anything you wanna add to that? No. That pretty much sums it up. Okay, so basically what we're asking is to authorize the Texas term sheet and the Texas statewide opioid agreements, which are relating to the claims that arise from the opioid litigation. And there's a resolution in order in there to that effect.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve, Commissioner Overstreet,
I'll second.
second Commissioner Robertson. Any further discussion or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
What's the method of distribution on that?
Motion carries. I don't know, first I need to do my motion carries before I go into method of distribution.
Just wondering.
I don't know, we'll have to call GLO, see if they can get us a mod. What time is it, Madam Clerk?
Motion carries.
Second.
11:03.
Yeah, we have to go.
Overstreet permits, 11:03.
We have to get that mod, you know.
See y'all later.